Hi guys, how you doing? This is Connor with thrivingminimalist.com, and today we've got an exciting episode. We're going to be comparing the Eurovan and the Vanagon, and I've got an expert here with me, my dad, William or Bill McMillan, and we're also going to talk to my mom, Eileen McMillan. They've been using both of these vehicles for traveling, and we're going to see which one they like most.
What we're going to do today is compare the Eurovan and the Vanagon. You know, they're such useful vehicles. You know, these campers, they both have campers in them. You can do this with a Ford or Chevy van too, make your own camper. It's really nice to have a vehicle that you can change your clothes in, sleep in, eat in, and travel in. It's you avoid hotels and restaurants, and you know, in the long run, it's really a good way to go. Cheaper. So, yeah, we have both the Eurovan and the Vanagon. The Eurovan obviously is a newer version of the what Volkswagen called the Type 2 Transporter, and we bought the Vanagon first. We've had that about 15 years. Have made a lot of long trips in it, and then we bought the Eurovan about a year and a half ago. And the plan was to sell the Vanagon after we got this, but we found some pretty glaring differences. And there's certain things I like about the Vanagon which just couldn't part with. So this is hers and this is his. Yeah, we bought the Vanagon first years ago, so why don't we go take a look at that? They made the Vanagon between 1979 and 1991, I believe, was the last year. The Vanagon, 92, they started with the Eurovan. So this is a 1982, which is kind of an earlier version of the Vanagon. Generally, they say stay away from anything 85 or below. The 86 had a little higher gearing, a little stronger motor. But this was totally rebuilt. It was actually in a field, and I bought it for $100. It had a lot of potential. The metal was straight. There wasn't a lot of rust on it. Everything was there, and it just needed a lot of love. So anyway, I got together with Lucas at what is now Go Westy. At the time, it was PEP, Professionally Engineered Products. And this did not have a motor or transmission. But like I say, everything was there and it was intact. And he suggested, okay, now this was a little unusual. In '82, they made a few diesel motors, 1.6 liter, and highly underpowered. They put that same motor in a little pickup truck that was about a third this weight, and that was perfect for this, slow as a dog. So he suggested going with a 1.9 turbo diesel out of a 93 Passat. So I went for that. It was supposedly it's a manufactured new motor, and coupled with a transmission out of an 86, which has a little higher gearing to take advantage of that power. So it's still slow, it's still underpowered, but it's a lot better than the original. So yeah, I've really learned to love this car. It's one of my favorite vehicles of all times. I'm 68 years old. I've had a lot of different vans through the years, and just really enjoy driving this. There's something very nice about sitting right over top of the wheels. It just gives you a really good feeling. Plus the windshield you're close to the windshield, it's high, you just have a panoramic view. So the nice thing about both these vehicles is its utilitarian value. Talk about being a minimalist. You can save so much money just having a van and learning how to live in it for trips or full time. I do know people that live in these in Santa Barbara. They live in the streets. There's a couple guys I know I run into every once in a while, and they actually just live in these. So why don't we take a look at the back area first. So here you can carry passengers if you like. It's got a lot of storage compartments. It has a couple of tables. Has a nice 2-burner stove and sink. So let me just show you. Yeah, you get to where you're going. You can There's a 2-burner stove, got a sink here, it's got a water storage in the back. Okay, so what I like to do, so you can carry passengers like this. It's just my wife and I, so we usually just leave this down. And even though this is down, you can still get to all the compartments. When Eileen is cooking food, of course, we'll have the top up. Squeeze here and push this up. This also has plenty of ventilation. You fold these down. There's 3 different screens here, so you get cross ventilation. You can fold this out over this way, and 2 people can actually sleep up here. If you have children, you can throw them up here, and then 2 people can sleep down here. So you can actually sleep 4 people pretty comfortably. So yeah, since we're not carrying passengers, we like to leave it down. We put our sleeping bags out and our pillows there, and we just leave it that way. We sit here when we're eating. I usually have a cooler right here, and I sit on that. These tables are very convenient. This one just kind of swings out this way, so you kind of have a working space like this. You've got counter space here, you've got counter space here, and cook your food here. This is a refrigerator. The refrigerators on these are kind of laughable. Number one, they rarely work. I have gotten it to work, but it didn't last very long. And even when they do work, there's just not much storage. So that's definitely a downfall. There's not much storage. So we just kind of gave up on that, and we use a cooler, and that's not a bad way to go. Utensil drawer. Get all the utensils in here. Pots, pans, plates. There's also storage under here. So when we have a meal ready to go, we'll just swing this out thusly. And one of us will sit here, one will sit on the cooler, and we have a space to eat. There's also places for storage here and here for food or whatever you like. There's also a closet here with a little mirror on it.
It's really deep.
It is deep, yeah. You put all kinds of shoes, whatever you need in there. And this tray comes in handy for holding your matches or little tools or anything you like.
It's like you got your sponge, some spices.
Matches. Yeah. And this is where Eileen puts her clothes, and this is where I put my clothes. So.
I really like that light you have there too.
Yeah, that Eileen likes to read a little bit before she goes to sleep, and so I installed this light, ran the wires over, and just hooked them in to this light over here, so we can have everything off, and she can turn this on and position it over top of her book. Like also, if you did happen to have some kind of issue where you have to get into the engine, you pull this up from the back, take the cover off, and then you can actually use this light to see what the heck you're doing. So it's a pretty inexpensive and good way to go. So yeah, the back of this, the Vanagon, we found is really better for camping in. It has more storage, more accessibility, and it's just perfect. So when we get over to the Eurovan, I'll show you the differences. This bed is a little bit shorter. My wife and I are 5'7", 5'2", and this is a perfect length for us. If you were 6 foot, you might want a longer bed, and they did put a longer bed in the Eurovan. So.
And how about, are these curtains stock or?
Actually, yeah, they are. These are the original curtains, and I can't imagine what they're made of. This is 1982. Original upholstery on these. Of course, the seats are from an 86, and so those are relatively newer, but they're still old and they're in perfect condition. But yeah, it's just amazing that these are still going. All the rubber, the only new rubber is in the windshield, but this old rubber is still pliable. It's just amazing. The rubber, German rubber, is excellent. The materials they made the vehicle with are really excellent. People that see this that are into Vanagons, they think it's in great shape. I mean, you could put a lot more money into it. For me, this is, you know, it's not over the top. You know, it's very presentable. The paint has really held up well. Its paint job is 15 years old. You know, it runs great. I never add oil between oil changes. It's got about 160,000 miles on the motor. So it's really done well. So there's a lot of you can really sink a lot of money into these. I went through about $15,000 in the beginning. The original $100, and then motor, transmission, front end, different seats. Another thing I put on from an '86 were the mirrors. The mirrors, the older mirror, the early mirrors kind of had a tendency to flop over. I would tighten the mechanism in here as much as I could, and they would still flop over in the wind. These, you know, thanks to interchangeability, the mounting holes in the door were exactly the same. Put these on, adjusted the mirrors once, you know, about 12 years ago, and they haven't budged since. So another nice thing that I found were these floor mats. I haven't seen another pair of those anywhere. And they're made of this super pliable rubber. You know, I've had those for 15 years, wash them every month or so, and they've just been great. We just needed something to hold our drinks, and so I just kind of threw this together before one trip, and that was years and years ago, and it's just very basic, just some pieces of wood I had laying around, and just kind of threw it up there, and so I can put my big thermos here, small drink here, another 2 more holes for Eileen that she can put her drinks in, and yeah, and then I also put a radio in, kind of attached it there. It doesn't get in the way of the shifter. Yeah. Another really nice thing is we have an awning. It was a great investment. I don't use it a lot, but when you need shade, you know, it comes out about here, and you've got shade wherever you go. So it's you know, wasn't cheap, but it was a worthwhile addition. Another thing that I put on, I highly recommend if you have a Vanagon, are these wheels that Go Westy offers. You'll see these on older Mercedes. They just happen to fit the Vanagon. They have the same mounting, same way of mounting them. And the nice thing about this is it will accept a tire that has a lower profile. They call this the profile distance from here to here. The original was 14-inch, same outside diameter, so you had a much higher profile. And so you have this heavy vehicle, you have the wind blowing from the side, and you just didn't have as much stability because there's a lot of flexion. The more distance you have in this top to bottom, it's just more flexible. So you have this heavy vehicle, you come to a wind, and all of a sudden you start, you know, hanging on the steering wheel trying to keep the thing on the road. Nice thing about this is you can get them in 15 or 16. Go with tires that are more readily available. These happen to be Michelin's. Much lower profile, wider footprint, much more stable, and this has a 3-inch offset, and that means that from this side to the other side, it's 3 inches out overall, and that makes a hell of a difference. I noticed it as soon as I pulled out of the parking lot, because I had the original wheels on there for about 2 years or 3 years, and perfectly happy with them. And then the price of the tires, I needed another pair of tires, set of tires, and the price had gone way up. I got the tires and wheels for $999, and that was only a couple $100 more than if I had just bought the tires. So it was a great investment. And like I say, as soon as I pulled out of the parking lot, it was immediately noticeable. This is one of the, for handling on a Vanagon, this is the best, I think the best way. They do offer a steel one that has a little more original look to it. Yeah, it's been a great vehicle. Like I say, I put 160,000 on it. And it's just amazing that the paint has held up quite well. It's got a few parking lot dings. Some of the, what do they call that? The clear coat has come off in the back, but most of it is really intact. I do keep this sits outside in the San Ynez sun. It's never been in the garage, and I do wash it every week or every couple of weeks. I like to have a clean vehicle, and the paint has held up really well. That about covers this vehicle. So why don't we move over to the Eurovan?
This is our Volkswagen Vanagon, affectionately called Samantha, and we've done a lot of traveling in this. And when we get ready to go, first we pack clothes, I think, and this cupboard here, for some reason we always designated this, and this side was Bill's because it's smaller, and this side was mine. And that was pretty much all the clothes that we would take. So we were really travel light. And if we needed something like jackets or maybe a nice shirt or something, we would hang up in here. But mostly that's the whole packing for the clothes was right there. And the one thing I like about Samantha is that everything is put away and it's not cluttered. It's very neat, and it's very eye-catching. I think it's a very, very good-looking van. Well designed furniture in here. So then mostly after the clothes, I would start with the food. That was pretty much my domain, was to do the food and figure out meals and what we needed. And under here, there's two big bins. So this table folds out. And this is real handy because there's two big bins in here where I would pack food. This one's lower and this is a deep one. So all kinds of food, non-perishable foods would go in here. And then this table tightens up and I could sit here and prepare sandwiches, and we could even sit together and eat off of this, or we just put it out of the way and we go sit outside and eat at a picnic table or a beach or wherever we happen to be. And everything shuts down so nicely when you're driving. You don't have any rattles or shakes or anything like that. This is another table that I see Bill has out. We didn't use this one as much because it interferes with the drawer a little bit. It's hard to get into your utensils and matches and things in there. And down here, we put mostly dishes, coffee pot, cups, pans, and spoons, things like that. And the refrigerator. The thing about this refrigerator, well, the one thing is it never worked very well. And it's the one thing that I was a little frustrated about when we had it, because I thought, oh boy, we could have a refrigerator and we won't have to tote along a big cooler. But we found that we needed the cooler anyway. But we just put a bottle of ice in here, and then we put things like fruit that would keep very nicely, fruits and vegetables with a bottle of ice, because it's very well insulated.
Yeah.
It just didn't work real well for real perishable things.
That's a good idea, though. So you could use it as another cooler space if it doesn't work, if the motor doesn't work on it or whatever.
Exactly, yes. And then you can use, right here, we would keep a cooler, and we would put in there our waters and drinks. And
did you need to fasten it down or anything over here? Use a
we
bunch of
didn't. No,
Just...
we didn't have to worry about that. The only thing about the Vanagon is if for some reason it gets really hot here, the pipes go right underneath here and it gets real hot. So we would use one of our backpacking pads that we sleep on, and we would put one of those here as insulation and then put the cooler on top and keep our real perishable things in the cooler under ice.
That's really smart.
So we would have to replenish the ice, of course, and the water bottle, when it defrosted, we could just use the water for cooking and then refill it with ice that we purchased from the supermarket.
Okay.
So this has really been, we have a lot of affection for this vehicle. It's just been really well traveled, and it travels well. The only thing, well, Bill probably discussed this already, was the noise level.
He didn't talk about it.
And that it's a diesel. So diesels are typically noisier than gasoline vehicles. And it's a Vanagon, so it's a Volkswagen, so they're just kind of funky in a way. They're noisy. So it's a little hard to talk to each other when you're up on doing your fastest speeds on the highway. It gets a little noisy, and it's a little hard like to hear your radio. But we've found that we're okay with that because we're real comfortable with silence. So we can go for miles and just kind of groove on driving and being together, and it was okay.
That's cool.
And I think what got to Bill the most is that climbing hills, of course, Volkswagens are notorious for not getting up the hills very well. So driving up hills and going fast on freeways, people get frustrated with you. So just learning how to stay calm and ignore those people back there. Say, this is the best we can do. So otherwise, this is a great van. It was very well designed. So I think our only complaints were that it was noisy and it's slow. Oh, and then the air conditioner and the heater are not the best in the world. The air conditioner really is poor. And I found that I need more air conditioning when we go into those hot areas. I need it more than I did now when I was younger. So yeah, so that's a hard part.
And how about for preparing food in the kitchen?
Oh, it was fine for that. It is fine for that. We have the sink and a 2-burner stove, and this is a nice little thing of ours that didn't come with. That just makes it so your small pots don't jiggle. But 2 burners is plenty for anything. You usually only use one. You have the sink. You could have this table up or not. More times than not, we didn't have it. We have all this space over here to use. You can set things down and set hot things on pads, and it's a very workable vehicle, very workable kitchen, and a nice little shelf here to keep our hot pads and matches, salt and pepper, scrubby for your dishes. And then we could stack up things, like if I wanted a little bit of coconut oil or something up here, I'd have little shelves. There's lots of, for such a tiny vehicle, there's just lots of packing space. And we always felt like we might tend to overpack because the space was there. So you have to watch yourself that you don't fill it just because it's there.
Right. And then, like you said, it all just kind of folds into the vehicle itself.
Everything,
It's like
yes.
hidden in there, and it's like a really open space. It seems like when you're driving or when it's all packed away.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very nice. And then you can put the bed up for a seat if you wanted to sit here and have your meal.
Right.
Usually when we're traveling, we make up the bed and we leave it out the whole time, however, just for convenience. In the upstairs, we only used this a couple times, once or twice, when we were in really hot areas up Route 5. And it was really hot at night trying to sleep, and then we can unzip these guys and let in fresh air. And we felt that it was cooler up there because we could get the breeze right on our face. So, but generally we don't use it.
Great.
And you can stand up in here easily when the top is up. And this is a great place to just hang your dish towels to let them dry, or your your bath towels, let them dry when you're camping for a certain amount of time in the same place. Bill can get into the tank and he can clean it and bleach it out, do whatever you need to do, and then add fresh water to it. So the water in here is fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you do get hot water out of there too, or just cold water?
No, just cold water.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's no heat. That's something I didn't think about. When you're in the cold weather, there's no heat in here to help you out.
Have you ever tried to plug in a small space heater? Just one of those cheapo little
No,
things? Okay.
no, never
Just
did.
curious. And outlets, I notice you have one down here, right? Is that the only one?
I always forget about this little cupboard.
Tissue paper.
Paper
and some other
towels,
things.
toilet tissue, things you don't need real often. I don't believe I've ever used that outlet for anything,
Okay.
truthfully.
So in terms of kitchen stuff, you're never really plugging anything in. You have everything you need with the stove and the sink.
Yes, yes, we run off the fuel. This is Samantha, and this is Sam.